Welcome to the English news of Binh Phuoc radio, television station, and newspaper. I'm the one, and following are the headlines as usual. Binh Phuoc responds to Green Agricultural Development Program. Conservation of wild orchids in Bùi National Park. Lộc Ninh keeps watch on agricultural equipment and product market. Prime Minister calls for global approach, international solidarity against climate change. Vietnam Business Integrity Index launched. The Strategy for Sustainable Agricultural and Rural Development to 2030 includes green, environmentally friendly agricultural development in line with climate change adaptation, reducing rural environmental pollution and greenhouse gas emissions by 10% compared to 2020.
Like many localities launching an organic production campaign, bottlenecks remained in Binh Phuoc's agricultural sector, including a lack of planning and incentives for organic production. There are still not many organizations granting Made in Vietnam organic production certificates, so the task requires engaging foreign organizations at high cost. Agricultural activities are still of small scale, so it's quite difficult to apply closed-loop and large-scale green agriculture. Consumers don't really have trust as yet, nor have the experience to distinguish organic products from others. Human resources proficient in organic agricultural production are limited compared to demand, and there are no key programs or compatible investments to make breakthroughs in green agriculture.
The Bùi National Park is an important habitat for many different flora and fauna, of which orchids are a distinctive feature of its vegetation.
The Bùi National Park is home to nearly 100 species of orchids. They are considered unique and are popular for their pristine beauty. However, it's not easy to care for and conserve the flowers. The orchids have diverse shapes in single and multi-stem species with various colors. White orchids have a faint, sweet fragrance, creating a pleasant aroma. Many rare species have high economic value. To preserve the orchids, the Parks Management Board has been building a conservation garden of nearly 100 species. The Management Board hopes to receive support from orchid lovers as well as experts from home and abroad to further evaluate and conserve species found at the national park.
In order to limit risk and economic losses and ensure food safety, relevant agencies in Lộc Ninh district have been making efforts to monitor agricultural equipment and product markets.
Many crops in the districts are now in harvest, prompting huge demand for fertilizers and pesticides. However, many facilities still have been able to ensure stable prices. Lộc Ning's economies relies primarily on agriculture, with a farming areas of about 49,600 hectares, focusing on rubber, pepper, and fruit. Tight management of equipment and products will have put local farmers at ease and ensure the sustainable development of local agriculture.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính called for a global approach and international solidarity in response to climate change in his message to the informal leader roundtable on climate change in New York, co-chaired by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Egyptian President on September 22nd.
The event was initiated by Guterres to unify awareness and promote strong political commitment to climate finance, greenhouse gas emission reduction, and energy transition in the lead-up to the 27th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change (COP27) to be held in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt in November. Prime Minister Chính said, a developing nation rising from the ruins of wars, yet Vietnam has long been a responsible UN member and determined to fulfill its international commitments with the greatest endeavor. He then asked development partners to support Vietnam through technology transfer, financial incentives, personnel training, and active experience sharing in improving regulatory framework and governance. He also took the occasion to thank international partners, UN bodies, and the UN Secretary General for their cooperation with and support to Vietnam in climate change response, particularly accelerating the talks for the establishment of a just energy transition partnership.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính has assigned urgent tasks to particular ministries and agencies to deal with current economic difficulties in the new situation during a government law-building session on September 22nd.
The Prime Minister noted that the world economy is facing numerous difficulties due to a growth slowdown and soaring inflation. The move to hike interest rates in big economies have substantially affected other countries, including Vietnam. In the context, Prime Minister Chính asked all quarters to show strong performance in implementing the government's decree on maintaining macroeconomic stability, reining in inflation, promoting development, and ensuring major economic balances. He underlined the need to manage the monetary policy in a cautious and steady manner, ensuring its activeness, flexibility, and efficiency, along with an open, reasonable, and efficient fiscal policy. The Prime Minister requested the Ministry of Planning and Investment to keep a close watch on the situation to make timely policy responses. Meanwhile, the Ministries of Agriculture and Rural Development were asked to ensure absolute food security, speeding up agricultural restructuring, and promote exports of farm produce. The Ministries of Industry and Trade were urged to develop the domestic market and expand international markets, ensuring energy security and striving for trade surplus.
The Vietnam Business Integrity Index, the first of its kind in the country to assess enterprises in this regard, will launch it on September 21st.
The index is introduced by the Vietnam Chambers of Commerce and Industries and UNDP Vietnam. It has been designed for enterprises of all sizes, forms of ownership, sectors, and structures, regardless of whether they are a listed company, a domestic private company, a foreign investor firm, or a state-owned one. It was built with support from PABISH, a UNDP regional initiative funded by the British government within the frameworks of the ASEAN's Economic Reform Program, which aims to promote a fair business environment in ASEAN. Vietnam is one of the few countries with a higher positions in the Corruption Perceptions Index released by Transparency International, jumping 26 places to 87th in 2021 from 113th in 2017. However, corruption still occurs in certain areas. The launch of the VBII is expected to have improved the situation.
Vietnamese textile and garment export hit the $4 billion mark for the first time in August, according to the General Department of Vietnam Customs.
Earlier, the figure was always above $3 billion for 6 consecutive months from February. In the first 8 months of the year, the total earnings from the exports were over $26 billion, up some 24% against the same period last year. With the earnings, the sector became the second largest contributor to the country's export growth after machinery and equipment and tools and spare parts. In the period, the U.S. spent nearly $13 billion importing garment and textile products from Vietnam, increased by 22.6%. It was followed by the European Union with more than $3 billion, up 41%.
The Central Highlands province of Lâm Đồng exported its first 70 tons of durian to China on September 21st.
The shipment came following the signing of the protocol concerning the work between Vietnam and China over 2 months ago. With the protocol, durian growers and businesses are expected to gain higher profits from this fruit. Currently, Lâm Đồng has 1 production unit code, or PUC, and 2 packhouse codes, PHCs, recognized as eligible for export of fresh durian to the world's most populous country. In the coming time, 10 more PUCs are expected to be granted to local units and businesses. Lâm Đồng is growing durian on over 14,000 hectares, mainly in Da Hoai, Di Linh, Bảo Lâm, and Da Thach districts. Last week, the Central Highlands province of Đắk Lắk also exported its first batch of this fruit to China.
Thể thao Văn hóa, Sport and Cultural newspaper announced 10 nominations for the 15th Bùi Xuân Phái for the Love of Hanoi Awards on September 21st.
The nominations for the Work Prize are a trilingual photo book titled Hanoi, Hanoi by Binh Phuoc and Paula Bunkongani, Hanoians Eating and Drinking Stories by Vũ Thế Long, and Kim Hoàng Phúc Painting by Nguyễn Thị Thu Hoài. 3 other nominations have been named for the job prize. They include a project on preserving a nearly 1,000 square meters old villa located on No. 49 Trần Hưng Đạo Street. The Idea Prize also has 3 nominations, including a proposal to remove the fence at Thống Nhất Park to form a pedestrian area along Trần Nhân Tông Street, and a research project to turn the mud floods of the Red River into a cultural and tourist park. The only nominations for and also the winner of the grand prize is secret. The awards are organized annually by the Hanoi People's Committee and sponsored by Thể thao Văn hóa Daily and Bùi Xuân Phái Fund to honor painter Bùi Xuân Phái, 1920-1988, a founder of modern art in Vietnam.
That's all for today on BPTV News. Thank you for your watching and goodbye for now.